Couple more Super Bowl winning interviews for you tonight here on the program. Julian Love, Seahawks safety, Byron Murphy II, joining us to talk about, well, how great it is to be a Super Bowl champ and more. Coming up pretty soon, free agency. Yeah, that's right. We're moving toward 2026 as we break down the end of the 2025 season. Here are a couple of free agents that are going to see a lot of money and perhaps a franchise tag. We'll break that down for you. And not only free agency, but the draft is approaching as well. We are going to take a look at some of the top quarterback prospects as well as some edge rushers, the guys that are trying to get the quarterbacks on the ground. Welcome inside with the insiders. Mike Garafolo along with Ian Rappaport here. We've got plenty of news to get to. We told you those 2 Seahawks interviews. Those guys are still partying out there. Well, they're starting to come down a little bit, but they are joining the insiders. Excited to talk about that Super Bowl run that they were on, a run that ended with a win over the Patriots, who made a little bit of news today with Ian and Tom reporting that Terrell Williams is being promoted to a high-ranking role on the staff. Remember, he was supposed to be the defensive coordinator, had a bout with cancer this past year, but now cancer-free. So Zach Core, who called the defense, going to be one of the candidates, bringing Ian back in here to break down this situation. Core did a fantastic job and was potentially going to get some interest elsewhere. However, they kept winning games, and the defensive coordinator there basically now a candidate for the full-time role. Ian.
Yeah, really a fascinating situation all around. First, the feel-good part of this, Terrell Williams, who, Mike Vrabel picked to be defensive coordinator when he was hired. Highly thought of coach for a long time. Had a bout with cancer. Ended up cancer-free by the end of the year. I talked to him on opening night, was an excellent spirit, did a great job of describing the defense and contributing when he was able to be in the building, but was not in the building for most of the season as he dealt with treatment. So Zach Core, a name that fans should probably get to know, even though that his name sounds nothing like it's written. It's Core, like Coors, but with no S. That's just a fun fact for you right there. He is a coach who had a meteoric rise since moving to the defensive side of the ball, was an offensive assistant for most of his career. Say 3 or 4 years ago, maybe a little more, went to the defensive side, was the inside linebackers coach this year. All he did, Mike, was call a Super Bowl participating defense. Really did an incredible job. They're going to do some interviews. My understanding is he is the leading candidate, which I would add very, very leading candidate. I might add to that very, very, very leading candidate. He's done an excellent job. He deserves the full-time job. The Patriots are certainly doing right by 2 of their excellent coaches and doing a real search, but then being able likely to keep both.
Yeah, there are requirements. They must interview to comply with the Rooney Rule, so that'll be part of this as well as taking a full look at everything and everybody that is available. But you're right, Zach Core's interview occurred over the 18 plus 4, 22 weeks of the season that it was. Matter of fact, Vrabel was counting the days, actually, as the players were coming off some great mic'd up footage from NFL films. Elsewhere in the NFL, as we look at the offseason and some of the storylines, it was on Good Morning Football today, and the question was, what's the most intriguing storyline of the offseason? This is it right here for me. Maxx Crosby, not only recovering from that meniscus repair, Ian, as you so detailed on Sunday, but also a potential trade situation. Here is Crosby on the Let's Go podcast with Jim Gray regarding his future. Not saying much, though.
Max, who speaks for you?
Me.
Okay.
Me.
Been a lot of stuff going on here during Super Bowl week. What's up with all this?
My focus has been on getting healthy because that's all I can control right now. That's all that matters to me is being with my daughters and being with my wife and taking care of myself. People are going to have rumors. I just looked at my phone. I've been working all morning. I got another, everyone's hit me up. Did you say this? I can't control that. You earn that as a player. If I wasn't doing the right things and if I wasn't the person and player I was, people wouldn't be talking about all the nonsense. But that's what comes with it. If you have drama, if you have a losing season, they just try to throw gasoline on the fire and make, things a certain way. And for me, I know what I'm about. I know what I represent. You know what I mean? I really don't care what everybody has to say. But yeah, I had an obligation. Happened to be a big media day for some reason the day before. And I already had that scheduled weeks in advance. So I had to go and get in front of a mic that I really didn't want to do. But I'm a man of my word, and I got to show up and do what I do. So people are going to ask those questions. You know what's funny? On top of that, it just shows like how the industry is. You know, my team and stuff like that, they're like, you know, in advance, you know, we don't want to talk about drama. Everyone's already heard his answer. He's given his answer. Every single person that I went and interviewed, they completely disregarded what we said before and asked immediately.
I can't believe that, Max. Someone would talk about your future without your permission. Can't believe it.
I am
right now
stunned to
we're
find
gonna
out this
talk
happens.
about we're going to talk about Maxx Crosby's future. Respectfully, Ian, respectfully. I've got some thoughts. Give us your best read on the situation. Again, with that context of the injury you provided on NFL Game Day on Sunday.
I always love Jim Gray kind of shrugging off reporting and rumors and innuendo. It's like, well, sometimes there's actual real reporting with actual facts by professionals who do this for a living. I don't know. Anyway, so let's talk about Maxx Crosby. It is a complicated situation. Maxx Crosby did not add much. There were plenty of people, as he said, speaking for him during Super Bowl week. My understanding, and this is something that I discussed on Super Bowl Sunday, not rumor, not innuendo, he did have a meniscus repair, which, although a relatively minor one, Mike, it's measured in weeks, in months, not weeks. Months, not weeks. So really what that means is it's hard to imagine a team trading for Maxx Crosby without him being fully healthy and able to pass the physical, which probably moves his timeline closer to the draft or maybe before the season. That means if the Las Vegas Raiders want to, one, convince Maxx Crosby that he should be able to be back, or two, do right by him, which, certainly seems to make a lot of sense for Mark Davis to do right by one of their most loyal guys. They have plenty of time to milk and get as much draft capital as they possibly can. This is a building roster. It is a rebuilding roster. Trading him makes sense. Just don't know when or if that's going to happen.
Look, Maxx Crosby's had, including interims, I believe, six head coaches in 7 years. That's the kind of stuff that we talk about with coordinators, that there's coordinator turnover. At the head coaching position, for a guy like this, who, all things equal, would love to be a Raider for life. But all things are not equal, and this is a potential reboot again for this franchise. In the NFL, you can turn things around relatively quickly, but when you do this now for the third or fourth time and you're trying to sell Maxx Crosby on it, that's a tough sell for a guy that plays hard for a team that just hasn't been playing many relevant games. One playoff game in his career. And I know he's itchy to play in more of those postseason games. So in the end, it's a two-way street. Like, the Raiders have to make their decision first about what they prefer to do, and then have conversations with Maxx Crosby to help potentially facilitate a trade, a la Micah Parsons somewhat. This is a somewhat similar situation. So I think it's going to take a little bit of time before this plays out. Around the scouting combine, some conversations closer to the league year, and then, as you detailed, Ian, perhaps leading up to the draft. So this could be something we're talking about at length for the next couple of weeks,
better buckle
if not
up.
months. Buckle up. Sit tight. We are getting there. We will get to the franchise tags before that happens, because that deadline is approaching here in the next 2 weeks or so. It opens on the 17th, and then it goes for 2 weeks. So let's look at some potential guys that could receive the franchise tag. Ian, you're seeing one right there. Kenneth Walker. It's a pricey tag, $14 million. Now, the cap's gone up, so all these numbers are going up. But around $14 million is the estimate for what I saw, what it would cost the Seahawks to franchise tag Kenneth Walker. Your thoughts on that one?
Look, I think for me, if you had asked me a month or so ago, I would say Ken Walker would be a really good free agent. But there's a reason that they play the games. And what Kenneth Walker did during the playoff run and in the Super Bowl to be the Super Bowl MVP raised his price. That is just the reality. And it does sound like Seattle would really like to keep him. There is a way to make absolutely sure that you keep him, and that is the franchise tag. There's also a transition tag, which puts a player a little bit of a lower value, but he can then go shop the deal and see if he can get a multi-year deal from somewhere else. There's plenty of things that can happen. It does sound like Seattle wants to keep him. If that's the case, you can ensure that you do that. But I would say this, for Kenneth Walker, who, had an up and down career and sort of dealt with some injuries from here and there, when he played, he was excellent. When it mattered most, he helped Seattle win a Super Bowl. He is going to get paid, and he is going to deserve it.
Valuing a running back, been a little difficult. Sometimes it goes real high. Sometimes it comes in low, and the player's disappointed. And I know sometimes players are disappointed with the franchise tag. For Kenneth Walker, though, I don't think it's a bad thing, because that sets the value at $14 million. You add a little bit more, you get yourself a multi-year deal at a really, really good number. So keep an eye on that one with the Seahawks and with Walker. Moving on to George Pickens, we've had plenty of conversation about this one, Ian. I believe there's a tag in his future. What about you?
They're going to franchise tag him. I really wonder what happens next. I mean, obviously, he had a breakout year. They traded for him. These are the guys you don't let walk in free agency. And he's been great. So franchise tag him. And really what I don't know, Mike, is are the Cowboys going to get an offer for Pickens that would allow them to trade him? They have showed in the past the willingness to trade some of their best players for huge draft pick capital. They acquired him for a 3. What if they franchise tagged, he got a long-term deal that he wants, and they got a 2 back? Okay, that's incredible value. I wonder if that'd be something that would be palatable for the Dallas Cowboys.
I get that part of it, and yeah, you would look at that and say, okay, that was a net positive. At some point, though, you're trading for players and you're acquiring players with the thought of them being parts of a potential championship team, and you're not going to get there if you keep trading them away. And we talked about how much Pickens freed up things for CeeDee Lamb and vice versa. So if you trade them away, now you're back to who's going to complement CeeDee Lamb. Just proceed with caution.
True, all true.
Jerry, Stephen Jones, and crew. Who's left? Trey Hendrickson. I talked about this one on Sunday. Trey Hendrickson. We thought last year with that doctored deal that they did, that 1-year deal, it's like, okay, he's going to play that out. He's going to hit free agency, and his time with the Bengals is done. I'm not so sure. I think a franchise tag is in play here. What say you, Ian Rappaport?
I say that you are correct. It does say, I'm not saying they're definitely going to franchise tag him, but when he got that new deal, there was nothing that prohibited the Bengals from doing a franchise tag with Trey Hendrickson. It would cost, I believe, $34. They paid him $30 last year, so it's not that much more. And the Bengals hate to let really good players leave the building. They just hate it. They like good players. And when at all possible, they would like to keep good players. It has been no doubt a frustrating couple years for Trey Hendrickson when it comes to the last year staying on the field. And 2, the contract negotiations might stay in that same ballpark this coming year. We'll see, though, if they can work out a deal again that makes sense for all sides again.
This defense, we didn't expect them to be great. They were not great early in the season. They got better as the season went along. I would advise against trading away a really good player if you want your defense to continue, or letting a player walk if you want your defense to continue to play well. This has been Tag You're It with Ian Rappaport and Mike Garafolo. I don't know, maybe we'll make that a segment. Bucky Brooks, he's always a segment for us. Here are his top 5 edge prospects, starting with Ruben Bain. You got another Miami guy in there in Akeem Mesidor, Keldrick Falk, and Cassius Howell rounding out the top 5. David Bailey up there as well. Mark Ross joining us. Mark, talk about who you see as a standout in that top 5.
Well, Bucky always crushes it, even though it's a thankless job there to list guys, because you're never right, you're never wrong there. But Akeem Mesidor there from Miami, who it was fun to watch there. He and Ruben Bain, when we started watching the tape, I mean, he does things that you just cannot teach. I mean, he is nasty, he is physical, he is violent. He has a natural pass rush bag where he has movement, he has power, and he has speed on the edge, and he also plays the run really well. So in most games that I watched, he actually stood out more than Bain. Bain got most of the publicity, but the games that I watched, this guy was more productive. A little bit older, he's going to be 24 years old, so that's going to be a little bit of a knock. But just as far as a violent, nasty football player who brings it, that Mesidor is my guy right there in the top 5.
That's an interesting one. Not as much of a projection, I would say, as Bain. All right, what about, we saw the top 5. What about players who should be in the top 5 but aren't yet?
Well, I got 2 guys here. The first one is Mason Thomas from Oklahoma. Talked about Mesidor, things you can't teach. This guy is an absolute menace when you watch him play. Explosive off the edge. You see right there. I mean, that's every play. Explosive, violent, plays much, much bigger than his size. Every game, he is high motor. He has an outstanding play against Auburn where he chases a back 44 yards down the field. And then for his size, plays much bigger there. Think of, when I watched him, going back to Robert Mathis there from the Colts. But if you want to be more recent, Nick Bonito, who played there at Oklahoma, similar size, except for Mason Thomas plays a little bit more violent and physical against the run. And then my next guy, who's completely different, is Zion Young from Missouri. Now, he's a big old dude. He's 6'4", 6'5", 33.5-inch arms, it looks like. plays all along the line of scrimmage there from end to tackle, the right end, the 3 technique, but similar violence, production, not the most top flight athlete there on the edge, but he'll bring that versatility, violence, and football instincts that teams will love up along the front there.
Yep, teams love guys that can create some havoc up there, so we're going to see plenty of these guys as we lead up to the draft. Mark, hang in. You are with us later in the program to actually talk about what I'm going to talk about right now, which is the quarterbacks in this draft. You see Mendoza, Simpson. These are the names that you're going to wind up hearing early in the draft, potentially both in the first round. We're going to talk about that coming up on the Insiders. And Seahawks safety Julian Love joining the program. Still coming down from the high of the Super Bowl and the parade. Going to tell us what the last few days have been like. That's next on the Insiders.
Classic young quarterback. As soon as that back foot hits, he's going to where he wants, but he's pausing for a second to confirm that he's open. He's not blindly doing like Stafford. There's like a little hitch there. Okay. You can jump that.
Made from the shotgun. 2nd down and 3. Steps up in the pocket, gonna let one fly down the seam, and it's intercepted. Julian Love is right where he's supposed to be at free safety.
Pretty incredible that they seemingly knew pretty much everything the Patriots were doing, and it played out. Julian Love there celebrating with the faithful. Look how deep that is unbelievable. You can't even see the end. It just disappears into the horizon. Just nothing but people there to celebrate Julian Love, the man who had Chris Collinsworth speechless, and that is not easy to do with that interception. Have you seen the TV copy of that clip yet, Julian?
No, I haven't seen the TV copy. I'm waiting until I get home. I'm gonna pop in the theater and take my time watching the game.
It is fantastic. Chris Collinsworth is just there's 13 seconds of dead air, and he's like, I got nothing for you. But I talked about it off the top. How much did you guys have a feel, not only game plan wise, but also those visual keys for what was happening with the Patriots offense and able to react off it?
Yeah, it's kind of tricky. I could say that we had it all figured out, but we kind of didn't. I mean, you never know what's going to come up. You have 2 weeks to prepare. They're a great team. They've been there before a ton of times. And so there are little things. And early on, I feel like we just saw like a certain style kind of component to it. And yeah, as we got more confident as the game went on, we were starting to feel, looser and just we're playing faster.
So I was really intrigued by that clip we just showed, which, you were mic'd, or one of your teammates was mic'd for NFL Films. How much diagnosing of the offense goes on during the game? Because, maybe it's naive a little bit, but I didn't realize that on the sidelines it would be that sort of specific a breakdown that we would get. Is that normal?
Yeah, it's normal. I would say, for me, I saw something in prep for the game, but you never know until you get there and you're playing against them. And so I picked up something kind of early that I felt off my prep. And basically, I'm on the sideline there. I try to cover my mic just to not, seem like I'm talking crap about him. But yeah, I'm just telling Kobe Bryant, my other safety, just so he can make a play. Like, hey, this is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm feeling. Take this and hopefully you make a play. If not, I plan to.
Listen, man, you get mic'd up in this. You got to get mic'd up in the Super Bowl. It's fine, right?
Yeah.
It's not like anybody's going to use it next week against you. You got 7 months or whatever to prepare for your next game. Mike McDonald, coming into this, one of my questions was, and not in a negative way, but a less experienced head coach than these guys that he went against. And yet, you guys were the ones that were prepared. You guys are the ones that were executed. What does that say about him and his coaching staff and how they had you ready?
It's pretty cool. I think from the jump, Mike said that this is a new culture of Seahawks football, and everyone involved, everyone in that team room can kind of get in at the ground floor. And so I can't, lie and say that the whole week felt, super easy and seamless and calm and loose. Like it did. That's because it's who we are. But there's an element of, all right, we'll see how it goes on Sunday. They've been there before a ton of times in recent years. And so, we're establishing ourselves. We have a super young team. Mike's a young head coach. But really early in the game, we just felt like, all right, this is our moment. This is our stage. We're ready. Like, we're equipped. We're executing. We have talent. Let's just go be us. And I think you saw that the rest of the game.
Yeah. I see you rocking the dark side hat. Your defense was just really dominant, honestly. Like, I kind of wondered if it might be the first shutout in Super Bowl history. You guys were awesome. You were also very close. Like, all the players talked about the togetherness of the group and how you guys are all friends and all. Like, how did that happen? Was it like the kind of thing where it's like, dinners on a regular basis during the season, you just hang out in the locker room together? Like, how did you guys all come together like you did?
Yeah, I would say it's a ton of hanging out. Some outside the building. Guys are on, the video game, like kind of whatever. But in the building, we hang out and we're super loose. We are competing against each other in everything, after practice, before practice, on the sideline of walkthrough. Like, we are constantly loose. And that's kind of our key term, is like the loose and focused. Because then when the whistle blows, we're able to lock in. Not every team could do that. I've been on teams that haven't been able to kind of find that balance. But I think it goes to the leadership that kind of we have. A lot of guys who are just no ego, to go about their work in a good way. And it's just a ton of love. There's no outlier in the locker room, which is crazy.
A ton of love from Mr. Love. Gotta love that.
Exactly.
I asked Reek Wallen about this morning on Good Morning Football. The defense, Ernest Jones in particular, has defended Sam Darnold and brought that line back for the Super Bowl. What is it about what Sam Darnold has done, what he is, that has really, because Jones is not the only one that I've heard on that side of the ball that has really stepped up for him?
Yeah. We love him. He showed up, the story about him, whatever it is, we just never saw that. He showed up to work every single day. He worked hard. He's just a true professional quarterback. He does everything the right way. He doesn't shortchange the process. And that's all we see. That's all we knew from him, is like his process is good. He's a good guy. I golf with him. Guys are comfortable hanging out with him. And so, yeah, I think it was cool just to see him be himself all season long. He didn't need to throw for 500 yards a game. That was just not how we were built. We were built, defensively and running the football. And he was just a perfect a leader for us. And so, yeah, there's not a person in the building that will allow some bad talk of Sam. We love him, seriously.
It's amazing. It feels like the entire NFL world was happy for Sam Darnold. You guys too, but Sam Darnold in particular. All right, I got one more for you. So today is February 12th. Tomorrow is February 13th. And after that is February 14th, which is commonly referred to as Valentine's Day. Your last name, as we've covered, is Love. How frequent do you expect in the Seattle area and really all of Washington for men to be giving their wives Love jerseys? Or it could be the other way around. Women give it. Like, do you expect to have the highest selling jersey on Valentine's Day?
Now he does.
Probably not. That Darnold and Smith and Jigba jersey, that might be a bigger sign of love for your partner. But yeah, take pride in the day. The Seattle fans, man, the 12s. This year has been so special for me. People have shown a crazy amount of support. When I'm out with my family, they both have given me love and allowed me my privacy. It's like a really good balance of just good people. And so, yeah, I hope somebody gives their partner a Love jersey. If you do, I'll sign it. Just reach out to me, I'll sign it.
There you go.
So
now listen, this is very important. I don't have a rooting interest. Ian doesn't. We're objective reporters, insiders. But I think we're going to need you back in the Super Bowl next year, because next year the Super Bowl is on Valentine's Day. Okay, so Love wins would be a great storyline. If we get a Packers Seahawks NFC Championship game, we'd be guaranteed one of you guys. Okay, so now I got my rooting interest. Listen, pal, we appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you.
This is fantastic. Enjoy the heck out of this, because I know you worked hard for it. I remember you from when you were here with the Giants, and I know how much you were beloved here, and I know how much you're beloved in Seattle. So congratulations, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you having me.
Appreciate you. Julian Love, ladies and gentlemen. A love story. Mark Ross back with us, talking some free agents that could potentially get some big deals. Not just the franchise tag guys we hit earlier, more free agents. Next on the Insiders. With NFL Plus, stay connected through the offseason with 24/7 professional football news and coverage on NFL Network. And get access to live, local, and primetime games on mobile through the regular and postseason. And with NFL Plus Premium, relive your favorite moments from the 2025 season with game replays. Get NFL Pro and watch NFL RedZone during the regular season. Sign up today at plus.nfl.com/network. Terms and conditions apply. Wonder if John Facenda ever had any idea what a website would be. Probably not. Ian Rappaport back with us. Mark Ross as well. I'm Mike Garofalo, not John Facenda. Let's talk free agents who deserve some big money, Mark, and let's start with the Seattle Seahawks.
Well, they got a bunch of options there. That's what happens when you win the Super Bowl. You got good players. You can't keep them all. And then I'm just going to pick one, and that's Rashid Shaheed. And thought the trade, what they trade for him was the best of the trade deadline. And he showed exactly why. I mean, he provides instant offense and instant special teams explosive plays. And with teams now looking for that, you can't just have 15, 20-play drives anymore. That instant ability to put points on the board, Rashid Shaheed did it at the very highest level for the Super Bowl champ. So I think a team looking for that second option and a special teams guy, he'll make some big money there.
And certainly added to his value with his special teams heroics. The second half of the season, it was interesting because he never asked for a trade from the Saints, but I kind of felt like maybe he would want that because you could go somewhere else, ball out for half a year, and then get paid for an organization that really could do it. Seems to have worked out absolutely perfect for the Super Bowl champion, Rashid Shaheed, one of the best trades of the offseason. What about this one? What about Malik Willis, who, when he played for the Packers, played really, really well, just doesn't have that, just doesn't have a ton of snaps for people to see.
Yeah, for sure. And that could help in his favor right now because he did get so much better going from Tennessee to Green Bay, where in 11 games he played 3 starts, improved up to 78.7 completion percentage. Of course, his legs were always an asset and still showed that playmaking, running the ball, and then making plays outside the pocket. And there's just not enough good quarterbacks to go around, or even decent quarterbacks to go around. So when you're looking at the market and you're looking at all the other guys, like, well, he's the most attractive of that group. And then especially with his former GM now at Miami, John Eric Sullivan, and head coach Jeff Hafley down there in Miami, that could be the perfect landing spot for him amongst other teams that need a quarterback desperately.
Yeah, if the Dolphins can figure out what they're doing with all of Tua Tagovailoa's guaranteed money and potentially moving on from him, a lot of moving parts in the quarterback market, and eventually they're going to fall into place, and we will track them for you, including Malik Willis. Jalen Phillips with the Eagles, when they first made the trade, really had an impact. I don't know he had a great impact down the stretch, but showed enough that it's a position where you need some disruption, and I believe he's going to have significant interest. Apparently you do too, Mark.
Yeah, for sure. Of course, he was always talented. The injury bug was what got him there. And Miami made the trade to Philadelphia. And as you mentioned, more of an instant impact, kind of didn't have the same impact later on. But still, once he played, he showed, the Eagles were #1 in points per game after they got him, were 5th in sacks after they got him. So he showed he still has that ability. And for, again, just like quarterbacks, there are not enough good ones. The pass rusher, same situation there where teams are looking around like we don't have any pass rush, and this guy's the most attractive. He's still relatively young, so he showed he could stay healthy at least for this season. So a lot of interest, I think, will be there for a pass rusher who shows he could play at a very high level, and he's also good against the run too. So, and you're looking at the whole landscape of, well, he looks a lot more attractive because there's not a whole lot of other guys out there of his caliber.
Right. Yep, I know he liked Philadelphia, so potentially if there's some negotiations, that would be the tie goes to the runner type situation, but we'll see. Still some time to go. All these conversations are going to start to happen at the Combine, even though they're not supposed to. Mark Ross, 2 segments down for you, 1 more to go. You'll be joining us in a couple of minutes after our guy Byron Murphy II, the Seahawks' young, impressive defensive tackle, about to join the program right here on the Insiders. Rappaport, Baldinger, gonna get at Byron Murphy for us.
3rd down and 5. Stevenson in the backfield now with a wide slot to the left side. May steps up in the pocket. He gets hit. Ball is on the ground. Seahawks fall on it. Murphy. Seahawks have it. Goes from the shotgun. Takes the snap. Drops back 5. Looks. Has time. Now he's going to get hit. And he is going to go down. I think Byron Murphy was the guy who's going to get credit for it. The Seahawks have now set a new franchise Super Bowl record with their 4th sack of the day.
What a dominating performance by that Seattle defense. And that man right there, Byron Murphy II, was a huge, huge part of it. Hanging out with the Lombardi Trophy, ski goggles so his eyes don't get all messed up from the champagne that is flowing. It is all just absolutely beautiful. Very pleased to have him right now with us on the Insiders. Byron Murphy, the Seahawks star defensive lineman, along with our good friend Brian Baldinger, who's not doing anything else in the show, but could not wait to hang out with me and Byron. Baldy, I will get to you in 1 second, but I want to start out like this. It's been a couple days, Byron, since you guys won the Super Bowl. You've had the parade. Has it all sunk in for you just yet?
Actually sunk in yesterday, man. Just having that parade, you know, seeing all them people out there, just millions of fans, you know, all throughout the streets of Seattle, man. It was crazy. It was like a movie. So, man, I really enjoyed myself yesterday with the fans in the parade, man. I had a blast, man. So it really hit me when we drove through Seattle.
Byron, your safety, who had a big interception in the game, Julian Love, said after the game that our defense starts with Byron Murphy. He's underrated. He's unheralded. Did you hear that comment? And when you heard it, did you just go, and that's kind of who you guys are. You're sort of in everybody's corner, each guy kind of pulling for each other. But when I heard that, I thought that was pretty cool, Byron.
I actually heard it. I seen it the other day. Shout out to Jude, man. That's a great dude right there, great team, man. I love playing with him. But you know, I just try to, you know, just be myself every day, do my job, and put my best foot forward, and also too, just, you know, putting the team in the best position to win, man. You know, that's all I care about. I'm a team player, so I'm gonna do whatever, you know, whatever to help my team win, man. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do it to the best of my ability.
So, Byron, I heard a story of you on draft night that when Seattle either drafted you at 16 or was about to draft you, your agent Ron Slavin told you this is the team you're going to win a Super Bowl with. One, is that true? And two, can you believe that he was right?
Man, it's true. It's true. He told me that as soon as they drafted me, he was telling me, man, Seattle, the best place. You know, that's the best place for you to go. You know, go win a Super Bowl and go win football games. And so it was true. And secondly, man, I believe him 100%. You know, that's why he's my agent, man. I feel like he always put me in, you know, in the best position as possible. He makes sure, you know, he look out to me on the field and off the field, man. He's more like family. He's not just an agent. He's not just, you know, that's just family right there, man. I appreciate him, you know, a lot. Also, too, man, just getting me drafted, you know, to this organization really means a lot, too, man. And just being able also, too, just to bring a Super Bowl to Seattle, you know, this early was, you know, it's crazy. You know, that's one thing I didn't believe. I didn't think it was going to happen this early, but just seeing the team that we had, I just going into camp and everything and all that, I just knew, man, we was chosen. We had a great team. I knew we can go how far we can go.
You know, it's you had such dominant performances in the postseason. The 49ers couldn't score a touchdown against you guys. The Patriots couldn't score a point the first 3 quarters, Byron. Is it the camaraderie and the talent that you have on defense combined with the coaching and the game plan that you have? Or is it something else that we're not talking about that leads to this dominant performances of yours?
Man, it's for sure, you know, just, you know, the team, our defense, you know, we got great players all around the board, man. So it also, too, just make it easier for me to do my job as well. And also, too, like you said about the coaches, we got great coaches like Mike, you know, and the rest of the defensive staff. You know, they just put us in a great position to make plays, man. Like they just set us up for, you know, to make plays, man. That's what our defense is about. And also, too, everybody on the defense, the way our defense, you know, is made and created, like everybody eats on defense. So he might have, you know, a different guy every week, you know, just dominating the game on his own, but his teammates help him out at the same time, man. So that's what that's about. We play team defense and team football, man.
there's a lot of teams in the NFL that have really good fans. Your fans are a little different. The 12s, as they call them. I mean, I was walking around before the Super Bowl, and it was unbelievable how many Seattle fans were there. And then you guys had before the parade, you had, the speeches and everything in the stadium. It was packed to the rafters with fans. And then I saw photos of you out on the parade route, just going and mingling with the people. What has that fan base been like, and just how fun was that?
Oh, man, the fan base has been crazy. The fans, they family too. We appreciate them a lot, man, for what they do for us, how they just come in, come out week in, week out, man, at our home games, also too away games, man. Just the energy they bring, man, yeah, just the energy and, man, just the love they have for us, man, it means a lot, They also, too, they help us, when we won a lot of games this year, having them guys in our corner, man, and being in that stadium, man, we really appreciate them. Shout out to the 12s, man. I love them. I want to trade them for the world. Best fans in the world.
Byron, you guys go by the nickname The Dark Side. It's one of the coolest nicknames there is. Like, I don't know the source of that, Byron. Did that come from Big Cat Williams? Did it come from a guy? Did it start in preseason? When did the dark side take a hold?
I think it started with Leo and like the rest of the vets, like guys on the leadership committee, I guess. And I guess some guys were just thinking of names because, I was hearing, that, we were just tired of hearing, everybody kept comparing us to the Legion of Boom, or everybody just kept talking about them. And everybody knew we had a great defense too, but, we just wanted to branch out and, we wanted to have our own names, have our, just create something, new in Seattle, and so we just happened to, come up with the dark side, man. They just stuck with us. And to me, the dark side, what that means to me is just a bunch of savages, man. Just a bunch of killers out there on the field, man, who, just hitting everything that moves, flying around to the football, man. If you got the ball or not, like, you getting hit, you're going to feel us. You're going to feel us some way, somehow, man. So there's a bunch of guys, with bad intentions, man, trying to kill you out there.
You guys sure did plenty of that, helping this team win the Super Bowl. Unbelievable performance by the defense and by you, Byron. Thank you very much for joining us on The Insiders. Really appreciate it. Look forward to talking to you soon, and go get that next one.
Yes, sir, man. Thanks for having me.